Tandem Nomads, episode 279. I might surprise you today, but your behavior as a buyer and as a consumer may be affecting the results you're getting in your business. So let's watch this very closely. Hello and welcome to Tandem Nomads, the podcast show and entrepreneurship platform where you can find great resources and inspiration to grow a successful portable business. A business that you can run in your own terms and that is adapted to your lifestyle and to your needs. This is your host, Emel Deregi. I'm a business and marketing coach and the founder of Tandem Nomads. This may be a very short episode, but I think a really big one in terms of importance and something that I've rarely talked about, but I think could really have a huge impact in the way you do business. And it's all about all those resistance and limiting beliefs that you might have when it's about putting yourself out there. For example, putting yourself out there on social media or when speaking, but also when selling. Daring to approach people and make an offer is one of the things that most people who start in business, and even those who are selling, sometimes still struggle with when it's about selling and putting themselves out there, as well as putting their content out there and sharing their journey with the world. So if that's you, today I want to share with you a little bit of a different perspective than the one you might have heard before. So we talk often about growing outside your comfort zone, trying out things, baby steps. All those things are things to do in order to become more comfortable and be able to put yourself out there more and more often, but also more effectively. But today, I want to talk to you about how you behave as a consumer, be it a consumer of content or a consumer of a product or a service. In other words, as a buyer. And I had a huge aha moment recently that I'm going to share with you, but I really believe that the way we behave as consumers is actually affecting our behavior as business owners when we put ourselves out there and when we are promoting our products or services. So bear with me here, I'm getting there. I want to start with the example of, for example, social media. And I know that social media is one of those areas where a lot of people feel very resistant to put themselves out there. And there's different reasons for that. And I am not the kind of person who will tell you, you must be on social media. However, I'm more the coach with my clients who would say, let's understand why you don't want to be on social media. Let's figure out the reason behind it, right? Is it because you feel in total disalignment with social media and you feel like this is not for you and that's fine? Or is it a place of fear to be judged or a fear to get overwhelmed? I think there's two different places to be to decide whether this is for you or not. But there's an area, for example, like sales, where you don't get to choose. You want to be in business, you better know how to sell and you better get comfortable with it, right? However, I believe that the way that you, for example, are consuming content on social media and the energy you put into how you consume social media and how you ultimately judge the content you find on social media is actually affecting your behavior on social media. And the same when you buy things. So let me focus first on social media. One of the things I've often said to my clients to kind of help them debunk some of the limiting beliefs that they have around social media and putting themselves out there is to tell them, okay, let's forget about you putting yourself out there. Let's just focus about how you behave when you look other people's content online. What are you saying to yourself? And very often, we would notice that we're actually very judgmental towards people online. We immediately make a perception on the few seconds of what we've seen or what we've read. And sometimes the immediate perception either judging them or sometimes comparing them to us. Oh my God, I will never be able to do that. Oh my God, how can this person do that? Oh, this is too private. Why is this person sharing that? So I want you to spend some time in the next coming days and watch what are the thoughts that you're entertaining when you're watching people's content online. Because I can guarantee you that some of those thoughts and beliefs that you're having when you're judging other people's content is actually affecting you and your behavior with the way you're putting out yourself out there. So my big invitation for you here is stop judging other people's work and stop comparing them to you. Notice, observe, and move on. I'm going to give you a bit more tips down the road here, but I just want you to see how the way you're judging what people are doing online is actually affecting the way you're showing up online. And I think this is really important to realize that. For me, that was my aha moment that got me to start shifting and figuring out what I wanted to share online and how I wanted to show up versus how I don't want to look like XYZ or do what I've seen. Because in fact, the reasons at the beginning that got me so hesitant to be online and to show myself and to share my journey and to put myself out there, especially with social media, was the fact that I didn't want people to judge me the way I was judging other people. So the best way to release the pressure and to actually figure out what you truly want is by, first of all, noticing how you might be judging some people online and starting to look at those content without any judgment. Just notice and move on. Just notice. And then instead of putting that negative energy into judging what other people do, turn that into a constructive energy to figure out how you want to show up, what you want to share on social media. What is the voice? What is your special voice and your special style, regardless, and I repeat, regardless of what other people will think of you. Because if you will continuously care about what other people think of you, you will never be able to figure out what is that special voice, what is that special style, what is that special way that you communicate and that will get you results. For you to figure out that, you're going to have to try out things. You're going to have to experiment. It's the same for your bandwidth. If you're really worried about the bandwidth and the time that social media takes you, you're going to have to experiment to figure out what works for you as well. And if ultimately you decide to not do it, that's fine. But you got to try it out. Come from a place of curiosity. Come from a place of playfulness. Come from a place of feeling grounded as well with your choice to do it. That's important. And in order to do that, you will feel so much more creative, so much more free when you actually are aware of some of the judgments that you are having towards others and learn how to free yourself from those judgments so that ultimately you stop judging yourself and that you allow yourself to be free, to be creative, and to live up to your true potential, or simply really know and understand how you want to show up. I gave you the example of social media because I think this is the one that comes up the most often, but this could be the same when it's about other ways that we put ourselves out there. For example, when we're speaking, when we're being interviewed, when whatever you may be doing that is pushing you to put yourself out there. I want you to look at some of the thoughts that you might be entertaining with other people who do the same thing, and how you can shift the thoughts so that it serves you better and it serves the energy that you're in when you're putting yourself out there. But I want now to focus a little bit on the sales part. And I know that's one of the hardest parts because as much as you could say, okay, I'm not going to do social media, if you want to be in business, it's going to be very hard to say, I'm not going to sell. right? So first of all, there's a whole bunch of episodes that I have about how to approach sales on a marketing perspective, but also on a mindset perspective, how sales, it's really about coaching the sale. It's all about helping people make the best decision for them, right? And that's, I think, is really an important shift to have when we approach sales. But that's not what I want to dive into today. What I want to dive into today is inviting you to watch your behavior and to watch your thoughts, to watch your energy as a consumer. Look at how you are consuming products and how are you making decisions to buy a service or a product. Watch when you're buying, for example, a service or an online course. That's a great example of something that a lot of people do. Are you spending a lot of time thinking about it, analyzing all the thoughts, and then really having that real negative energy and that pressure because you want it, but you don't know if you want it. And then at the end, you end up buying it because you know that this is the right thing for you, but then you still have that fear of what if, and what if I do that? What if it doesn't work? And what if? So that energy when you buy is actually an energy that you might be also having when you're selling. So really look at how you are analyzing a product or service before you buy it, and what is the process that you're going through when you decide to buy it, and then what is that energy and that thought process that you're having once you buy that product or service, because once you have made that payment, because that's really important, that will affect your experience with that product or service. So for me, inviting you to watch your behavior as a consumer is going to be very interesting to see what is the energy you're at also when you're selling, but also to empower yourself as a consumer. Because if you are entertaining that negative energy when you're buying that product, because you're buying something but you're so afraid that it's not going to work or afraid to regret it, then it will affect your interaction with that product or service. I have to say that it is normal. For example, I have a lot of my clients who come to me when they pay me for my services and come in for a coaching program with me. They would often tell me, oh my God, I'm so scared. But they would also say, I'm so excited. And that for me is the sign. And I think that's normal if sometimes we're a bit afraid because it's such a huge step we're taking in our journey. But it's also important to hone into that excitement and to dive into that energy so that you can use it to prepare yourself in your journey. Because at the end of the day, no matter what you buy, be it a service or a product, you are the one who is going to contribute to your own customer experience, be it how you choose to live that experience. And that will also impact the way you sell, the energy that you put out there, no matter if you know the technicalities and the techniques of selling. I know some people who do an amazing job at selling just because they are in the right energy when they sell. They're transmitting that excitement, they're transmitting that positivity, they're transmitting that trust in what they're doing. And by the way, it doesn't mean that they have to behave all excited. It doesn't mean that they have to put on a show, but it just means that internally you're in alignment with what you're doing. And I think sometimes just coaching yourself through your process of buying can actually help you become better at selling, because you're going to have that awareness of how you think and how you're influenced by some of the judgments that you might be worried about. And if you free yourself from those judgments by stopping judging others, ultimately, you might be stopping judging yourself and allowing yourself to be in your full natural energy without any fears and with all that positive energy to put yourself out there and share your special gift with the world. So I really want to give here the credit to somebody about this aha moment that I had about the buyer's energy. And this person, her name is Melanie Ann Layer, and she's the founder of a huge community online called the Alpha Femme. And she's Canadian, and she talks a lot about manifestation and our energy in business and all of that, which for me is really not a topic that I'm naturally drawn to. And I have to say that I got to learn about this and have my aha moment, but actually experiencing my behavior with her and being very surprised with what I learned by just watching my behavior. So to back up a little bit this story, a friend of mine sent me this link of a live video that Melanie was doing online to sell and promote a program. And she was promoting this program, but she was spending a lot of the time like greeting people and just being excited. And she was supposedly sharing some tips, but I was like, when is it getting to the meety-greety? And this is lasting too long. And I remember how irritated I was getting at her voice and also her nails. She had these long nails, and I was getting so irritated, and I couldn't understand why my friend will send me this. And I had to talk to her and say, why do you find this so good? And say, wait, get into it and you'll see. And I was like, come on, there must be something. I know my friend. I know I can trust her. Why am I reacting like this? Why is my whole body reacting to this video? And to be honest with you, this was like the hugest learning moment in terms of my own thoughts and behavior. I realized that I was actually judging this person more into external cues than actually the value that she was giving or was able to give through her program. So just to challenge myself, I actually went into buying that course so that I can really learn to surpass that negative energy I was in for judging her behavior and how she was selling. It was more like a mental exercise that I did more than for the online course. But know what? Well, the first lesson that was in her online course was about the buyer's energy, like the energy we are in when we buy a product or service. And I was like, oh my God, that can't be. Like the whole reason I bought this course was to actually figure out my resistance and why I was resisting. And I was like, this is interesting. So I really wanted to bring this to you because it has really shifted, really in a big way, my way of showing up when I sell as well, and realizing that the energy that I am in is actually affecting the results. And it's the same for my clients. And this is why sometimes you would have the same campaign, the same marketing strategies, you would duplicate them, and the same marketing strategies will not lead to the same results. And I really believe that that's very often because of the energy that we are in. So watch your energy when you're buying, but also watch your energy when you're selling. It's sometimes even more important than the method you're using and the marketing strategies you're using when you're selling. So to free yourself from all that heaviness, there's many ways to do it. And we talk a lot about it in this podcast, but this is probably the first time that I might be inviting you to watch your behavior as a buyer so that you can shift your behavior when you're selling by first freeing yourself from all the fears of judgments that you think that people might have, because people will judge you ultimately. But if you don't care anymore, and for that you'll need to care less about how you judge others, you'll be so much freer to be yourself, to finally bring your product out there with the best energy so that people can feel excited to buy from you, so that people can feel like really like this is the huge service that you did to them to bring that product to their attention. And this is how you start shifting your energy to have better results when you're selling. But I also want to share with you a couple of simple things you can do in your day-to-day life and some behavioral changes and shifts you can make to actually attract that positive energy by shifting your way of consuming. I'm going to start with, for example, social media. So let's say that you like something on social media, you see a post that's interesting, that you love, let's say a social media post or even a book or any resource that you like. Well, like it, share it, comment on it. Tell me, please. Tell me and be honest. How many times have you seen something you loved on social media and didn't even press the button like, or didn't even comment or even share it? So if you want to attract that positive energy when you're putting yourself out there, give it back to other people. Be the one who's actually cheering up other people instead of being the one who's constantly filling your brain with that negative energy of judging those that are not aligned with the way you would show up. And if you don't like something on any type of resource, starting with social media, but also other type of content, then it's fine. Just notice it and move on. You're allowed to have your opinion, but you don't want to fill up your body and your brain with that negative energy. Notice and move on. And if you feel like it's something where you really, really care about, where you feel like this is a cause that's important, that you need to share your feedback and your disagreement, then share it in a respectful way. Be proactive of saying, okay, this is an opinion, but here's how I see it. And you can have that conversation and debate, even if you don't agree. But coming from a place of judgment and that negative energy will not help you. So either you notice and you move on, or you contribute to the conversation with your own perspective, knowing that some people might not agree, but that's okay too. And now the other tip that I want to share with you is when it's about once you buy a product or service. Tell me how many times you've actually, first of all, like I said before, bought something and started spinning in your head because you're worried that it doesn't get you the results you want. So first of all, stop spinning, because if you spin, you're not going to be able to take full advantage of that program or that service or that product. So make sure to ask yourself, okay, how am I going to make the best benefit of it? Start with a great energy to make the best use of it. And then once you get to have consumed that product, then acknowledge what has worked for you. Make the assessment of what worked, what results you got, what other results you wish you had and you didn't get. And then make the balance. Figure out, okay, did this work for me or not? And from that point of view, know that very often our judgment of how a product or service has worked on us is often a judgment that we have on ourselves. So I want you to make sure that you dissociate that. And I'm going to give you an example of a disappointment that I had shortly, okay? But for me, if you want to be in that positive energy, first of all, if things have worked for you, share it. Spread the word. Give a great testimonial. Don't wait for somebody to ask you for a testimonial to give it. Say thank you. Show your gratitude. Refer that product or service to the other people you know might need it. Spread the word. Be part of that energy. If you're happy with what you got, spread the word. And if you're not happy, same, you can share your feedback, but don't leave that disappointment just dragging on you and filling you with negative energy. And for that, I'm going to share you another example. So I've been part many years ago of a program, and I'm not going to name, that was really a bad experience for me. I really felt almost scammed. And honestly, I was like, how could I put so much money? It was a 5-figure program. And I was like, how could I put such a huge amount of money in something that was not a good fit for me? But the problem that happened is that I was having that real negative energy that was following me for so long after every decision. After that, I felt frozen. And I have to say that negative energy also affected me in the way I was selling. So what has happened for me was, first of all, to notice that I had been very disappointed, but that has affected my energy. So first of all, I try to be very practical and give the feedback on the things that did not work that were very practical. And then I also try to look at, okay, beyond that big thing that I was looking for, were other things that happened to me through this program that worked. And actually, I can't believe that I had missed such a huge benefit that I have gotten that was way worth even more the money that I invested, which was the community that I had met, that is still an amazing community that I'm part of now. I had not gotten into this program for the community, but I didn't think that the community will be such a huge aspect that I needed, and I actually made full benefit of. And today, those people are people I'm talking to on a weekly basis that still continue to empower me in my journey, in my personal development. So here is interesting, because once I realized that, I still had that grunge. I still had that negative energy about this program. And then I realized, wow, what if now I reached out to actually thank this person for having put me in touch with this amazing community instead of being so negative about it? And I can tell you that once I've done that, I freed myself from all that negative energy and all those fears that came for me in my thoughts process of how sales work and etc. And realized that if I actually turned that negative experience into something positive, I shared constructive feedback, but I can still share what has worked for me without feeling like, I'm giving away too much for somebody that doesn't deserve it. Oh my God, I know that this can feel so big to ask you to actually start looking for positive things even in your negative experiences. But again, I can see it in my own experience how that has affected my way of showing up by just shifting my behaviors and my thoughts as a buyer, as a consumer. So my final word here is really watch yourself. Watch your thoughts, watch your behavior when you're consuming other free content or free resources and the paid products and services that you consume. Watch the process you're going through and then shift the thoughts that will serve you to be in a better energy. And then once you do that, then turn those thoughts into actions. Take action so that you can feel empowered about it. If you love something, share it, spread it. Don't wait to be reminded or be asked. Be one of those people who is actually spreading that energy around so that it can come back to you when you're putting yourself out there, when you're sharing your wisdom, when you're sharing your great resources, and when you are putting yourself out there with your special product or services. And then remember how it feels when you do that. Remember how amazing it feels when you become an empowered buyer so that you can also be empowered when you are selling your own products or services. I hope that you found great value in this topic and a probably unusual way to approach selling and putting yourself out there. Please share your feedback. Speaking of which, please spread the word if you love this episode and this podcast. Share it around. I actually realized I rarely asked that, but I would love it if you could please share with your friends this podcast episode or the podcast in general, any resources that are helpful. And also, if you love this podcast and listen to it regularly, I would love it if you could leave a review on the podcast app that you use the most frequently. It will mean the world to me. And finally, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any feedback to share. The best place to find me is on tandemnomads.com or also on Instagram. I love to connect with you on Instagram, so you can find me on Tandem Nomads handle and you can DM me there, and I'd love to connect with you. All right, can't wait to meet you there, and stay tuned to turn your challenges into great opportunities.